Hey everyone, Merry Christmas. Or for some of you watching this, it may be after midnight, so it's not even Christmas anymore. So happy day after Christmas. But it is Christmas Eve here on the East Coast. I mean, Christmas night, I should say. And if you're like me, you've been eating all day and sitting around, hanging out with your family and watching movies, doing all that kind of stuff. Played some basketball today and thought I'd come on live and talk about the 90s because I've been thinking about the 90s a lot. And we're going to talk about whether the 90s were really as good as I think that they were. Because you guys that follow this channel know that I love the 90s, especially grunge, and we're going to focus on grunge, as you can see from my thumbnail. So I thought about it, and I thought about, of the artists represented in the thumbnail, I don't have all of the ones that we're going to talk about on there. There's a couple other bands we're going to talk about as well, but a lot of people think grunge started with Smells Like Teen Spirit in 1991, but obviously there were grunge bands, so-called grunge bands, that were putting out records before that. Soundgarden had Louder Than Love, for example, came out in 1989. Or Alice in Chains, the first record came out. The first record that came out in the 90s that was actually a gold record was Facelift. Okay, it was certified gold on September 11th, 1991, which was 2 weeks before Nevermind came out. So that was really the first gold record of the grunge record of the 90s, right? We're going to listen to some music here. We're going to talk about this because Alice in Chains was kind of the beginning of grunge, along with Soundgarden. Then you had the other Seattle bands, Mother Love Bone, but we're going to talk about music that started from 1990 on. For those of you that are not familiar with this, let's just take a listen. This is Man in the Box that starts out with the really just heavy, simple riff. Just right off the bat. This is when we used to have intros that were actually intros. So we're already going to be about 36 seconds before the first verse comes in. So 37 seconds in. I love the darkness of the vocal. I love the echo that's on the vocal. Guitars are so heavy. This was one of this approach to harmony was very different than any of the groups that happened in the 80s. If you think about a lot of the 80s music, you think of bands like Def Leppard or bands that were, or Guns N' Roses. They didn't have harmonies like this. Alice in Chains harmonies were very, very unique. Nothing like them. They set the tone, I think, for this music. When I think of grunge, I honestly think of Alice in Chains. I really do. This song comes right to mind. I mean, not just the first record, really more Dirt, which came out in 92. I think of that as kind of the sound of grunge. Yet I love all of the grunge bands that we're going to listen to tonight. the time period of how this went from your voice is too low when the music plays. Billy's texting me here. I'm going to turn it up a little bit more. There we go. Okay. That should be better, Billy. Billy's helping me out right now on this. So, grunge, people really weren't talking about grunge. It didn't become mainstream until Smells Like Teen Spirit. Just to give you a point of reference. So, it took about a year for this record, for Facelift, to go gold. So, it went gold in September of 1991. Nirvana came out in September, I think it was the 24th of September, 1991, and was gold by November because of this song. Oh, yeah. It was definitely still great. Once again, I mean, still the intro. 34 seconds till singing starts. Yeah, man. Now, if I were to talk about this music from a technical aspect, the guitar sounds are not heavy like you would think of today. If I listen to guitar players nowadays that play heavy rock, or think about anything from nu metal to progressive metal, these kind of guitar tones are nothing like them, right? This is distortion pedal distortion. It's not amp distortion. It's not EVH kind of distortion or PV 6505 distortion. This is really kind of indie rock guitar distortion. Somebody just asked in here, was Kurt a good guitarist? No, Kurt was a great guitarist. Kurt was an incredibly good guitarist. Spitting Nails, JJ just said that. That's what Dave Grohl, how you described Kurt's singing style. There's still no one that's really like Kurt Cobain with that intensity. There's on this particular record, we had In Bloom, we had Breed, we had so many great songs. Come As You Are. My favorite song on Nevermind is this one. And I'll tell you why. This is On a Plane.
Stop this song without any words. I got so high, strapped till I bled. Love myself better than you. Know it's wrong, so what should I do? The finest day that I've ever had.
Love this.
Is when I learned to cry on the fan.
When I learned, that is so good. When I learned to cry in command. No one wrote lyrics like that. Completely weird. Great lyrics. Somebody said this there's no comparison. 90s were a joke compared to the 80s. Yeah, unfortunately, that's reversed. And I love the 80s, but there's no comparison to me between the 90s and the 80s. There's some amazing music, but grunge was far more visceral and powerful because of the singers. The singers were just pretty much all of these singers crushed it. Let's listen a little bit more on this.
Love myself better than you. Know it's wrong. So what should I do?
Right here.
I'm on a plane. I can't complain. I'm on a
That's so
plane. My mother died.
And it's just so full on, yet there's dynamics. Amazing, amazing songs. Once Smells Like Teen Spirit became really huge, people wanted to hear more Nirvana. So they put out a record, their Incesticide record that came out, basically because they hadn't recorded In Utero yet. And people wanted to hear more of their music. And there were some incredibly cool tunes on this record. This was a B-sides record. This is the song Aneurysm. I mean, and then I just love this, right? There you go. There you go. We're still not to the verse.
Come on over, do the twist.
Oh man. Oh man.
Oh, I do it and have a fit. Love you so much, it made me sad.
It's interesting. This is an incredibly good vocal recording. Really good vocal recording. I think this is Butch Vig did this one. Compared to any of the early Nirvana recordings, you know, the Bleach recordings, or this is as good as anything. A phenomenally well recorded vocal on here, and just so powerful. So I saw the word visceral again. That's the word that I like to use, but just the intensity is just is you don't hear anything like that. And one of the reasons I think that rock has been so kind of put off to the side in popular culture, mainstream culture, is because of this lack of these visceral singers like that. I mean, this is really, really a phenomenal vocal take. If you go to the next record, one of the songs I really love on it, on In Utero, I like all the songs. I like all Nirvana songs.
Yes, I'm relieving. Now that you're leaving, soon as you get paid.
Man.
It's so relaxing. Hear that you're resting. Never you get to.
Now, can you imagine if that was auto-tuned, what that would sound like?
It's so soothing. Now that you soothe me, so that it sounds.
Oh! Okay, listen to that fill that Dave Grohl does there. That's amazing. Listen. Incredibly good fill. Right here. This. So heavy. Oh yeah. Then here to the sus. Oh. And then you know, when Nirvana came out with the song You Know You're Right, which was something that was just I guess an unfinished track, that song to me, that's something that really deserves a breakdown. The chorus in this song, this was released as a single, I mean years later, probably 2007 or so. Once again, this has his incredible singing. It has the weird just rough, kind of untight guitar that's perfectly tight.
I will never bother you.
Oh
I
man,
will never promise to. I will never follow you.
so good.
I will never
Here we go.
bother you. Never speak a word again. I will crawl away for good. I will move away from here.
Oh.
You won't be afraid
No,
of fear.
that's a sus 4 there.
I was put into this, and always knew it would come to this. Things have never been so swell. I have never found a well.
Incredible melody. And that's unreal. Incredibly good song. So I was 30 years old in 1992. So I had already been a college professor. I was actually, when grunge really hit in 91, in the fall of 91, it was my second to last year of teaching at Ithaca College. And I was so taken by the music. I was familiar with Nirvana. I had Bleach. I had students that listened to which they called college rock or alternative rock in the late 80s, 89, 90, listening to indie rock, alternative rock. But I was hearing Soundgarden, I was hearing Nirvana, and I was hearing Mother Love Bone, those bands, while I was playing jazz guitar gigs. But I was struck by the fact that it reminded me of the 70s in the recklessness of it and the power of it. That was the thing that I think really it was a fresh take on the 70s, and the bands like Nirvana, Soundgarden, these bands just did not do conventional things. It was blues based, but you had these really weird tunes that would have half step motion in them, like man. Okay, so somebody writes, Rick doesn't appreciate the 80s. That's actually not true at all. I love the 80s. And I love 80s hair bands. And I worked with 80s hair bands. I've sat in with 80s hair bands. I worked with Vince Neil. I've sat in with Winger. I have some of my really good friends are in or were in big 80s metal bands. I love the 80s. But there was nothing like this. There really was nothing like this. I mean, you hear that first note of Them Bones, which is the first thing you hear on Dirt, just freaked me out because I remember when I first played it, my stereo was on loud and I didn't realize it. And that first hit just scared me. It's like, what is this? So they were able to take these chromatic chord progressions and still have blues inflected melodies on them, which I think was that was the thing that I missed when I heard, when I started hearing bands like Linkin Park. Okay. If you think about Linkin Park's first, some of their singles, like Crawling, they would have these really chromatic but they would not have any blues inflections in their music at all, really. With the exception of AudioSlave, there was almost no blues in any. You could say Rage Against the Machine, or I'm sorry, in nu metal. If I were to say, think about bands like Korn, does Korn really have any blues inflections in them? No, not really. I really can't think of any real blues inflections in any of the nu metal bands. And this is where I think rock music, when it got disconnected from blues, it, I think, lost its appeal to people. That and when records started being made with Billy keeps telling me, okay, you're not loud enough. When you do this, when you lean in, your mic distorts. Okay, is this good, Billy? Anyways, System of a Down does not have, somebody said System of a Down, they don't really have any blues inflections in their songs. If I think of Deftones, do they really have blues? Is there any bluesy melodies? Now, if I let's see. Now you can take a song like this. This is Soundgarden. This is a song that oh my God, that is amazing. My God. Once again, this is a perfect where this chromatics, all these key changes and things like that with Soundgarden, and yet Chris Cornell always had the blues in his voice, right? The soulful singing. What's that? Oh, man. Then. There's your blues. Soundgarden was able to write very, very modern songs with weird chord progressions and still make them sound blues because of Chris Cornell. I mean, there you go. Now, if I take a song like this, which this is Outshine. This came out in 1991. So the record, 2 records before. Man. Now this is really more of an obvious blues. Great line. There you go. Man, incredible. So, Soundgarden had odd time signatures. Matt Cameron, one of my favorite drummers. They had just one of the greatest singers of all time. They had very odd chord progressions too. You know, if you think about, Pretty News compared to Outshine, 2 radically different kind of songs, right? Just their music really spanned a wide range stylistically. I think because Chris's influences were really diverse. His kind of, he was very influenced by the Beatles. He was very influenced by bands probably like Black Sabbath. And you had all this stuff mixing together. And then you had those, the Kim Thale, weird guitars, really weird guitar solos, and Ben Shepherd's completely strange, super melodic bass lines. He did some of the most unique bass licks. I always talk about I think about if you were to take the let's say I'm thinking of a particular let's say Fell on Black Days in the chorus, right? Bass. Listen to the bass. So he's playing da 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 da. That is the weirdest bass. Listen to that bass line here. Listen. He goes da 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 da. He plays F natural, E, F natural, and then E, F sharp. Da, 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 da. Who would ever play something like that? Listen to that. Then F sharp. Then F natural. Then F sharp. Okay, so over the same chord progression, Ben Shepherd plays two different notes. Like, why would he even do that? He did it because it sounds great. That's why. That is a brilliant, brilliant bass line. I mean, forget the fact that the song has a great lyric and great melody. That bass line is so unique, right? You know, we know songs like Black Hole Sun are really, really incredibly well written songs, really melodic. But some of the things that are just hidden in the back of these songs just blow my mind. Okay, so I want to talk about Pearl Jam. I see some comments about Pearl Jam being overrated. That's totally baloney. That's ridiculous. Pearl Jam is not overrated. As a matter of fact, I always felt like Pearl Jam was underrated. And Eddie Vedder is underrated as a melody writer. Some of my favorite Pearl Jam songs. I mean, I love the first record, but when we get into verses, this is one of my favorite songs in verses. It's this melody in this. So this has a completely weird intro, then it goes into a totally different kind of verse. Love this melody here. Then. Okay, that is one weird song, right? The degga do 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 do. Da 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 da. Great melody. I'm lost, I'm no guide, but I'm by your side. I am right by your side. I think that's what he sings there. Great transition. Listen to that singing. Phenomenal. You guys notice that the two guitars always play two different things? Like one, you have the wah-wah on one side. I don't know if that's Stone Gossard. I'm not sure who's playing what. I think that might be Mike McCready's playing the wah part. But the parts, the two guitar parts, they just do their own things. And that is so great. This is actually what's different about them versus, for example, Nirvana. Nirvana is typically... Kurt will have his parts doubled in the chorus. Same thing with Soundgarden. Whereas Pearl Jam, same thing with Alice in Chains too. Pearl Jam has two different guitar parts that happen throughout these songs, right? I love this melody right here.
We will find a way.
Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Right here.
We will find our place. Don't leave.
Now, can you imagine if this was auto-tuned, how ridiculously stupid it would sound? I mean, this is the thing, right? It's the imperfections in all this music that make it so powerful. It sounds real. This is done on tape. All these Pearl Jam records were done on tape. Here's another song that to me has one of the finest guitar parts in the verse, right here. This is Dissonant. Once again, check out the guitar part in the verse right here.
She nursed him there overnight. I wasn't so sure she wanted him to stay. What to say, what to say. Soon she was down, soon he was low. At a quarter past, a holy no.
Okay. No one would play a guitar part like that. That is so weird and great. That is a really phenomenally constructed guitar part. Listen to it again. And the melody that Eddie sings over this is so unusual and original and melodic. Great fill.
She nursed him there.
Oh man.
So
right here, this guitar.
She wanted him to stay. What to say, what to say. Soon she was down, soon he was low. At a quarter past, a holy no. She had to turn around when she couldn't hold. Oh, she folded. This is dead, this year.
Okay, so just to address some of these super chats, thank you so much for the super chats. Here's one. BD says, Rick, you got to admit, Dave Aberuzzi was one hell of a drummer. He was an amazing drummer. He was a great drummer. These drum parts are phenomenally crafted, played, and they sound great. This record was, of course, produced by Brendan O'Brien, who is a person I've never been able to get to come on my channel, which I would love to have. Brendan does not do interviews. This is the weird thing. This is kind of a mystery here. There is the guy that produced the first Pearl Jam record, 10, and Temple of the Dog, Rick Parasher, never did an interview about either record that I've ever seen. Never. He passed away in 2014. Brendan O'Brien produced just about all of these other Pearl Jam records, starting with Versus, Vitology, Yield, all these records. I don't know any Brendan O'Brien records where he's talking about any of this stuff. So none of these records. I saw the Pearl Jam 20 documentary, but I don't know anything about these records. I mean, that's weird to me. Is that weird to anybody? I think that there's just nothing about them. Right? Like, where are the pictures from Versus or from 10? Were there pictures of them in the studio anywhere? Where's the video? Where's the interviews with Brendan O'Brien talking about the making of these records? These are important records that need to be talked about. Honestly, where are the documentaries on these records, on the making of these records? If you look at the Chili Peppers, Rick Rubin had cameras rolling when they were doing Blood Sugar Sex Magic with Brendan O'Brien engineering. There was a video on that, you know. Bands in the 80s made documentaries. Metallica made a documentary of the making of the Black Album. Where were the makings of these grunge records? There's a great making of the When Black Gives Way to Blue, Alice in Chains, with Nick Raskulinecz was the producer of that. And there's a really good series of videos on YouTube of that record that was made in 2009, I believe. If you want it, if you're into studio recording, that is definitely a great thing to watch. They have incredible tones on that record. One of the finest records with a new singer, William Duvall, a record that kind of, I don't know if you could say that When Black Gives Way to Blue came and went, but it was really a great, great record. And I appreciate the fact that that they actually filmed the making of the record, which is cool. So anyways, if anyone knows of this stuff, of these records, of videos of these records, I mean, I think it's as big as grunge was. I feel like it's an undocumented era. Thank you, Monty. Appreciate that. Merry Christmas to you too. I really think it's an undocumented era. So I just wanted to say that. I want to get back to playing some more music here. By the way, thank you all for the super chats. Really, really appreciate that. Thank you, David. I do have a sale going on right now that I forgot to mention. I still have my my Christmas sales going on until midnight on New Year's Eve. And speaking of New Year's Eve, I'm going to do a live stream. I'm not sure how long. Last year I did a 5-hour live stream from 7 till midnight on New Year's Eve. I'm thinking about doing a longer one. I don't know if I could do 8 hours. That's like kind of, it would be like a Twitch live stream. What do you guys think about that? Or should I just do 5 hours? Last year I had guests. I had Phil X. I had Tim Pierce. I had Rhett, I believe, was on. Tosin Abasi was on. I had at least 5 guests. Pete Thorne was a guest. So if anyone has, should I do 5 hours or do 8 hours? The longer, the better, Dorothy said. There you go. There you go. Short answer, no, Michael. I'm not going to listen to you. 5-hour live stream. Thank you, Charles. Your analysis of songwriting production elements is gold. Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. No guests. No guests. I'm going to talk for 8 hours with no guests. I did do that one time. I did a live thing here in Atlanta in 2017, I think it was, or 2018, 2017, 2018. I did like a get together, a 2-day thing that was more like a music theory seminar. It was 2 8-hour days at a club here in Atlanta that doesn't exist anymore. And people came, and my channel was the first year was pretty small. I hadn't hit 100. I just hit 100,000 subscribers then. And And the second year I was probably at 200. No, I was probably at 400, 500,000 subscribers, something like that. I can't remember. So it was fun. It was fun. Someday I'll do something like that again. But for now, you're just going to get me here on my live stream. Okay. Joseph, I'm reading your comment, your super chat. You say that there's, believe me, there's music in the 2010s just as good as influential as every other decade. I worked in music in the 2010s. I put up a picture on my Instagram. And by the way, if you don't follow me on Instagram, follow me at Rick Beato 1. I'm trying to get up to 500,000 followers on Instagram. I got a long way to go, actually. Or you can follow me on TikTok. Follow me, Rick Beato 1 on TikTok, if you guys are on TikTok. I know a lot of you YouTube people don't go to TikTok, but I had multiple gold and platinum records. I just got another gold record for this band Need to Breathe I worked with in the 2000s. I mean, I worked as a producer from mid 90s until 2016. So I was actually working during that time. So I know all about it. I'm not a person that doesn't understand that. I made records that I had some, I wouldn't say hit records. I mean, some records I worked on, like the first Shinedown record, that sold a couple million. I think that hit double platinum now. But so I'm familiar with the music of that era. I'm not downplaying it. Dennis, happy holidays to you too. Appreciate it. You're always watching that Rick guy, your wife says. That's funny. That's awesome. Rich says, if you like Indian punk songwriting, Screaming Feels, best riff writer since Iomi, Marissa. Oh my God. Oh, I got my new glasses. Actually, I found my old glasses and I got my new glasses, but I don't like to wear them on here. I'm farsighted. Corgan-esque solos. Okay, so let's talk about Corgan-esque solos. Let's talk a little bit about Smashing Pumpkins. Actually, I'm not done talking about Pearl Jam. Okay, because I want to play a couple other things here. I know I'm not going to convince some of you people that are Pearl Jam dislikers. Is that a word? Pearl Jam haters, whatever. But Pearl Jam was an amazing band, is an amazing band. This is one of my favorite songs from later records. This is Nothing Man off Vitology. Beautiful. I mean, you know Eddie can kill a melody over a progression like that. And he does.
Once divided, nothing left to subtract. Some words when spoken,
man,
can't be taken back.
Beautiful.
Walks on his own with thoughts he can't help thinking.
Great.
Futures above.
Listen to that snare drum.
But in the past he's slow and sinking. Caught a bolt of lightning. Cursed the day he let it go.
Man.
Nothing man. Nothing man.
Incredibly well recorded live band.
Isn't it something? Nothing man.
With dynamics. Oh, man.
She once believed in every story he had to tell.
Great singing.
One day she stiffened,
That sounds like Human.
took the other
Wow. Come on. Give me a break. So good. They're playing with dynamics. You know, all this fixing of music, it just kills it. You know, somebody wrote a comment. I pinned it on my video where I was talking about this this top 10 list. I haven't done many of these Spotify top 10 lists lately. And somebody wrote, it was funny that the comment that that I pinned to the top. I want to read it. This is from the video. I think it was 2 videos ago or so. And this guy writes here, Noah. He goes, I feel like we haven't seen one of these videos in a while. These are the top 10 Spotify videos because they weren't worth filming. Every once in a while, I look at the top of the chart and I always see the same boring TikTok songs, right? Maybe 1 or 2 standouts, but they never stay long. My guess is that Rick saw this too and didn't want to make a video on effectively the same song 10 times with a bunch of repeats from prior videos. Luckily, Christmas shook things up to add a little variety to LOL. That's 100% right. I stopped making them because nothing changes in the pop charts. And some of the stuff is just so inane. Oh my God, it's just so boring. This is real people playing. I mean, yeah, I like programmed stuff too. Okay, I like stuff that's different. But man, the rock is just so you know, you just don't hear stuff like this anymore with imperfections. Everything is auto-tuned. Everything is gridded. You know, people just cannot make rock records anymore. It's the producers too. They have to beat detect everything, you know? They've got to comp the vocals. They have to auto-tune them. They have to use some auto-tune somewhere. They just can't leave imperfections in. It just becomes, I think a lot of producers think that they're not doing their job if they were to do this. And this is one thing about Brendan O'Brien, who once again, I've never been able to get for an interview. And there are no interviews with Brendan O'Brien. I think there's one. There's some guy interviews him on YouTube and there's like 2,000 views of it. I want to hear from him about these things. Why he produced this stuff. He's the one that told them, no, that's a good take. Oh, that sounds good. No, leave that. He made these records in 2 weeks. Like all these Pearl Jam records he did, Stone Temple Pilots. He mixed the Super Unknown record, Soundgarden. He did, he produced the Rage, Evil Empire, and Battle of Los Angeles, all those records. And all these records he makes in 2 weeks on tape. Back then he did. And there's live playing and there's people playing different things on different sides. That's what Brendan did, you know? And I mean, I'm not sure that I don't know if music like this would connect with people again. I think it would. No, it would. But I just think that it's already been done. That's one of the things, right? I mean, this kind of stuff has already been done. And then you're just kind of copying it. But this stuff is so original. These parts, you know, I'm playing all this stuff and the music is just so original. I'll give you let's talk about another band that's not from Seattle though, from that time period. Oh man. That's a riff right there. It's a little cherub rock, Smashing Pumpkins. Man. Great tones. How long these intros are. A minute long intro. Notice how the voice is low in the mix? So this record came out in 1993, Siamese Dream, and this was done right here in Atlanta. Those of you that watch my channel, you know Dave Honorato, who's on here a lot with me and Rhett, and Dave and I have done a lot of videos on our own. Dave does all my guitar work. Dave worked on this record, Siamese Dream. He was there. They did it at Triclops Studios here in Atlanta with Butch Vig, and Dave assisted on the record. And then they did Live Through This with Courtney, with Hole right after it, with that. I think Butch Vig, didn't he produce that too? Yes. And Dave told me that Kurt Cobain came down to the recording. He even told me that it's funny because I don't think we've ever talked about this on a video, that Dave worked on these two records. And a lot of stuff went on during Siamese Dream. You know, the couple of the band members quit. Those of you that have heard any of the stories on here, there was a band breakup and it's craziness. But he told me that Kurt Cobain demoed some songs one night. I have to ask Dave about it. That Kurt was down for a week or so, and he had some songs of his own that they made a recording of, acoustic songs. That I don't know whatever would have happened to that, but that's kind of an interesting thing, right? That Kurt was here in town and they were doing that record, and then there might be some stuff out there like that. But I should do a video and talk with Dave about this particular record, because that sound, that the Big Muff sound that Billy Corgan had. I think they were chaining a bunch of Big Muffs together. So it would be great to actually have Dave talk about that. Matter of fact, I need to just have Dave back on. I haven't had Dave on in a while, and we need some Dave. We need to get Dave's vibe back in here. Okay. So obviously Smashing Pumpkins had amazing, amazing songs as well that don't necessarily have this blues element that I'm talking about. But their sound was so unique. You know, if you think of this is off Melancholy. come on. That's an intro right there. Then once again, we're 43 seconds, 44 seconds until the voice comes in. I love this record. So this was their record. This is Tonight Tonight from Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness. That was a double CD. Incredibly good record. They had singles like Zero and 1979 on it. But also had some tunes like Jimmy Chamberlin on the drums. I love it right here. Right here. Great melody. Then right? I mean, come on. So every time around in that verse, it's a different fill. Okay? I mean, that's incredible. Man, and this one. Then this one. That's the first one again. I love how Jimmy goes, just absolutely phenomenal drumming. One of my favorite melodies, though, off this particular record, this was a single, is this. And there's a lot of people that are not fans of Billy Corgan's voice. To me, they're the same people that don't like Geddy Lee. I just don't get it. I love Billy Corgan's voice. It's so unique. It's absolutely so unique. These fills. This is Smashing Pumpkins. The song's called Muzzle. Okay, there's some interesting comments. Somebody says his voice has no power, Dorothy says, but still has attitude. Right? He's not a Chris Cornell singer. He's not Eddie Vedder. He's not Kurt Cobain, but he's got attitude. And somebody else wrote, the convenience killed rock music. Wow. That is so succinct. I love that. Convenience killed rock music. What does that mean? The convenience. I'll give you an example of convenience. Okay. Okay, let's do these 4 bars over and over. Okay, that's a good thing. Oh, that open hi-hat was good there. Yeah. Let's use that. Yeah. Okay, yeah, Okay, we got the first verse there. What do you mean? And we have the second verse. You know what? Just let's play an extra open hi-hat, like a different fill going in the second. This is how records started being made after 2000, with Pro Tools. Okay, we got the 2 verses. We're playing to a click. All right, we're going to go in and we're going to cut everything up now to the 16th note. And we're going to put everything on grid. Then we're going to lay in samples. Okay, we're going to lay in a kick sample, a snare sample. And this is how records began being made. Things were pitched and pocketed, as they say in Nashville, meaning auto-tuned and beat detected. People used to beat detect. When I mean that, I mean they would fix the guitar parts, the bass parts, everything to the grid. There's a grid in Pro Tools. And they'd get all the transients to line up, meaning all the attacks. And once you start doing that, it's quantized, basically, if you know that word. Once it's all quantized, then every downbeat where everything hits together, there's no flamming or anything. It loses all its impact. It's kind of like, it's like I said about the Lenny Kravitz and that song Fly, which I really can't stand, where he auto-tunes the vocals in the chorus so perfectly that it sounds tiny. I don't like the song because, I don't like the sound of the song. And it just sounds like Pro Tools. This is when records just started sounding like Pro Tools. And most records from 2000 on have no tempo variation. Not all, some do. Some have tempo variation. Bands like Creed they'd play to, they would actually, and I know this because I worked with Scott Stapp. I did some demos with him in 2008, I want to say, something like that. 2008, maybe? I worked with him. Let's see, Dylan was 1. I went down to Scott's house. Their label had me go down. I was supposed to work with them, just demoing some songs. Solo stuff he was doing. And I don't know if I've talked about this on this channel before or not, but I'd never met him before, and he was singing and it didn't sound anything like him. And he's like, yeah, I've been taking voice lessons and I used to sing with my throat, his tongue back in his throat and things like that. And I was like, well, it sounds weird, man. You don't sound like yourself. And I said, do you have any Creed records? And he says, yeah. And I said, go get one. So like 10 minutes later, he comes back and he has a Creed's greatest hits. You'd think that he'd have some records. They sold 50 billion records. And he opened it up and he puts it on. I forget what the first song was, but he starts singing along with the records, and it didn't sound anything like him. Finally, after about the third song, he finally started sounding like himself. He's singing along to the mixed versions. And then I said, hey, do you have any of the Pro Tools sessions from there? And he had My Sacrifice, I think was one of the ones. And I looked at it and there's tempo variations in it. The choruses got faster. And that was the case. If you put, listen to Creed songs and you put up I use an app called Live BPM. I use it a lot on videos when I want to find tempos of songs. I did a video where I did the tempo variations on AC/DC on Back in Black, for example. And there's a lot of tempo variation on AC/DC songs on Back in Black. It starts out 91 maybe, Then the chorus gets up to about 93. Then the second, 93, 94. Then the second verse is 92. And there are tempo variations. I mean, every single song that I played so far, all these songs have tempo variations to them because they were all done on tape. And a lot of them, oh my God, if we went back to the first thing I played on here, I'm going to show you what they are here. If I type in live BPM, you want a good app here if you're a musician? I never talk about apps on here, but Live BPM is a great app for the iPhone or for Android. Listen to Man in the Box. I'm going to tell you what it starts out at. Check it out. So I'm holding this app up to the thing. So it's 104 now. Now it's 105. Back to 104. 105. Back to 104. So if I move ahead, 106. Then 107. Thank you, Toby. 108. 110. 111. 111 again was 110. 112. Then 114, 115. 105, 104, 105, 106. Okay, let's look at Teen Spirit. 110, 111, 112, 113, 114. Not read 118. 115. These songs just are all over. The people are just playing. I mean, they're playing. Pearl Jam. 112, 113. 111, 110, 109. Somebody was like, if your tempo is varying 2 or 3 beats, you're in the pocket. That's not true. No, these songs are actually, you don't think about it until you actually do this. But every one of these songs is like this. Everything we've listened to is like this. If I take a song from the let me take a song from the 2000s, right? Let's see here. Let's see here. I'll take one of my and I'm not saying it's terrible, right? It's not bad. It's just it is okay, this is one of my favorite. I'll pick a Linkin Park song. This is one of my favorite Linkin Park songs. It's off the second record, Meteora. It's called Easier to Run. Now it'll start reading here. Once the drums come in, it can get an accurate read.
It's easier to run, replacing this pain with something more. It's so much easier to go than face all this pain. You're all alone. Something has been taken from deep inside of me. A secret I've kept locked away, no one can ever see. Been so deep they never show.
It doesn't move.
Go away. Like moving pictures in my head for years and years they've played.
If I could change, I would. Take back the pain, I would. Retrace every wrong move that I made, I would. If I could stand up and take the blame, I would. If I could take all the shame to the grave, I would. If I could change, I would. Take back the pain, I would. Retrace every wrong move that I made, I would. If I could stand up and take the blame, I would. I would take all my shame to the grave.
It's easier to run, replacing this pain with some.
I love that song. It's a flat line, though. I mean, if you can see the line there, it's right here at the end because it's the last song that I did right there. See that flat line right there? That's quantized. But that is really every song from. I can pick any band from the 2000s, and they all look like that. They all look like that. Let's see. Vapor Trail said something. Worst thing about grunge is they look down on people who knew music theory. No, they didn't. They didn't think about people that knew music theory. How to play their instruments like a sign of authenticity. We will never forgive them for that. That's not true, Vapor Trails. That's not true. Thank you very much for that. I don't agree with that. Guys like Matt Cameron, you kidding me? Soundgarden, these guys are pro players, like session players, pros. They didn't look down on anyone. Yeah, these guys are. These guys were pros. Real pros. Now, was there a kind of an anti-establishment thing with grunge players? Yes, of course there was. It was definitely that. The point I'm trying to make is the point that I'm trying to make about the 2000s, the quote that the convenience killed rock. Is that what somebody said? I forget what that was. That was it was a that's a great way to put it. I could probably put I could go to any band in the 2000s pretty much, and you're going to find the same thing. It's not Linkin Park. It's like every band in the 2000s. So that's just how records were made, unless it was a Brendan O'Brien record, and he didn't do that. And he just did not do that. So if I put on any Nickelback song, I put out any of these bands like that, they're never going to change tempo. Convenience. They're never going to change tempos. Now, that being said, I mean, people played with clicks historically, and there's great songs from the 80s that were done to click tracks that have drum machines, that there's no tempo variation and everything. It's kind of a different thing, though. If I put on an AudioSlave song, let's see here, AudioSlave. Let's see here. See if there's tempo variation. I don't know who did this record. This might be Rick Rubin. Hang on. Let me look it up. Who did this record here? This AudioSlave record. Anybody know? The record with Like a Stone on it here. Let's see. AudioSlave, Like a Stone. Who produced it? Artist, AudioSlave. Man, come on, discography, AudioSlave. It was produced by Rick Rubin. I would say that if it's produced by Rick Rubin, this has probably been, I bet there's no tempo variation. Let's see here, live BPM. If it was produced by Brendan O'Brien, there'd be tempo variation. Okay. Basically 108. No tempo variation. So I mean that's been, I mean that's pretty much 108. It sounds great. Yes, it sounds great. But it's that's not a 90s song. It's a 2000s song. And by the 2000s that's what rock bands sounded like. And you can hear the lack of imperfection, if that's a way to put it, in the beat, right? Let's see. Morgan says, I can't read this, sorry. Everybody, thank you for all the super chats. Rick, been watching you from Augusta, Georgia. And my dad used to book shows here in the 90s. Did you ever play in a band called 100 Year Son? I did not play in 100 Year Son, but the singer from my band, Billionaire, Mark, did, and the bass player, Walter, did. And their band was amazing. 100 Year Son was a great band. I love that band. Killer band. So if we were to go through songs from the 90s, all those songs that I played, from Alice in Chains to Smashing Pumpkins to Nirvana to Pearl Jam to Soundgarden to Temple of the Dog, all the tempos change all the time. They just do. So I think that there's something about that takes the visceral nature of it, the soul. People said that sounded great, right? The AudioSlave there, Like a Stone. It sounds great. It sounds perfect. It sounds perfect. right? It doesn't sound like this. It doesn't sound like this. It's weird. There's like no transients there. The drums are just not that loud on there. On that, it's kind of, I think it's having trouble finding that. It's funny to hear that back to back when you hear that, or you hear this, you know, or maybe something like this. That has so much punch to it. The Smells Like Teen Spirit, the drums on that. And then if you go to the Hunger Strike. On the table, the fire's cooking. And I love the sound of this record. It's just the Nirvana is so much louder. It's been mastered and limited way, way more. You notice that? Listen to the difference in volume. I mean, it's really incredible. This is Pushing Forward Back. I love this Temple of Dog song. Wow. Wow. That is so good. That is so good. My God. Amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. That beep. Somebody asked me what that beat detect BPM app. It's called Live BPM. It's a great app. I don't recommend apps here ever. I really don't recommend gear ever. I tell you the gear that I'm using, that I use. For example, somebody asked me what I'm recording through. I have my Apollo X4 that my voice is going into right now, and that's what I use for here in this room when I make my videos. And I use Pro Tools. I use Logic occasionally on my laptop, but I use Pro Tools. And obviously this is an SM7 mic by Shure, and I would recommend this to anyone that is interested in a good microphone and doesn't have a lot of money to spend. Well, it's a $400 microphone, $375. It's a $375 microphone, but if you're going to buy one mic and you want it to be able to do really anything vocal wise, like any like radio broadcast kind of thing, something like that. This is really the mic to have. This is probably, out of all the things that we've listened to, I know Chris Cornell, I think, used SM7. Eddie Vedder definitely used SM7. I don't know about Lane Staley. I don't know about Billy Corgan, but definitely those guys, I'm pretty sure, used SM7. And Brendan O'Brien really likes using this microphone. This is a great microphone for vocals. It's a great mic to speak in, to do podcasts, and is a great rock vocal. It's not just a rock vocal mic. It's a great vocal mic. The only thing about it is that it doesn't have a lot of output. That's the only thing that is the problem with this microphone. Okay, so I keep getting this thing. Jordan Ramsey was like to hear your thoughts on the album Jesus Freak. Is that Jesus Freak? Is that DC Talk? Is that the record you're talking about? Jesus Freak. I don't know that record. Let me see here. Jesus Freak. I know they had a record called that. Studio album by DC Talk. Yeah. 1995. I don't really know that record. So, I can't really DC Talk. Rick Rubin did produce that song. I'm not sure what song you talked about. Somebody says on here, for dynamic mic, Shure SM, yeah, an Electro Voice RE20 is another microphone that you see in studios for podcasting, and radio broadcasters use them. Those two particular microphones are the most common. I don't use an RE20 very often for singing, although it works great. And you'll see Tom York on the one Radiohead record that they had filmed in that basement where he's singing through one. I don't know if he uses one typically, but they're great microphones as well. Anything that sounds good for speaking sounds good for singing in it. Why not a condenser mic? Mike Roy asked me. I like condenser mics, and they're great for certain things. They work great on rock. When I recorded Brent from Shinedown, I used a condenser mic for him. I used a old 414 for him. Brent Smith, who's a phenomenal singer. He has a very bright voice. I'm trying to think of what other singers. I mean, there's plenty of singers that I've used, Neumann microphones and things like that. I've used U87s, but old ones. I do not like new U87s. They're not great sounding to me. Anyways, so this is Jordan says, how about the Rode NT1? I don't know. I can't read this. Hold on. I heard a lot of good things. NT1A. Rode makes some really good mics. They do. They do. I have some Rode mics that I use for on my camera, but I don't really. And I have some Rode mics that I use for some other stuff. I don't have any of the bigger microphones, NT1. I had a singer that I worked with that had a very piercing voice, and we used one of the Rode tube mics, and it worked great on his voice. Oh my God, it was the only microphone that worked well for my friend Mike Lee, Michael Johns, if you ever saw the American Idol 2008. He was in that. He sadly passed away in 2014. Really dear friend of mine. Incredibly good singer. But he's a person that I used a Rode mic on, and it sounded phenomenal on his voice. So, let's see. I don't know. VYBZ. Let's see. For modern metal, is a high gain amp. Gain metal amp and drums necessary for a decent sounding metal EP, or would plugins and Easy Drummer be enough? Well, I wouldn't use Easy Drummer. I use Easy Drummer. I use Superior Drums. I use Easy Drummer for demos. But I would never use that on a record. I know a lot of metal bands do and stuff. And a lot of people use plugins. They do. You use whatever sounds good to you. I have, plugins. I have amp simulators and things like that. I got all that stuff. But I prefer real amplifiers. I just do. I have nice mic pre's and I have nice microphones. And I don't know how to mic amps. So that's why I do that. But I've heard people get great sounds out of them. Out of amp sims. So yeah. But I would not program drums like that and put it out on a record. I just wouldn't do that. Anyways, okay, so I think we're good for tonight. I wanted to get on. It's Christmas night. This is a long live stream here on the main channel. You guys are amazing. I got my sale still going on, my Christmas sale of my complete bundle. If you were thinking about getting my Beato book, my ear training course, my Quick Lessons Pro guitar course, or anything else, this is the time to get it. It's all available right now. Discounted heavily in a bundle until New Year's Eve. That's when the sale runs out, midnight New Year's Eve, when I finish my live stream. Anyways, you guys are amazing. Merry Christmas to everyone. I hope you guys had a great time and have a great evening. It's great hanging with everyone. I never do these long live streams on here. This is really fun. Follow me on my second channel, Rick Beato 2, if you don't already. And follow me on Instagram at Rick Beato 1. All right? We'll see you guys. Take care.